Harry S. Truman desegregates the U.S. Army on this date. Welcome back to On This Date. Today's date is July 26th, 2023. It is the 207th day of the year. There are 158 days left in 2023. It's the 30th Wednesday in the 30th week and the 36th day of summer. 59 days until fall. Today is National Bagel Fest Day. National Bagel Fest Day is here to remind us to eat a bagel. Everyone loves a fresh baked bagel. Those are pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the kind you pick up at the grocery store that were made like a week earlier. You know, I like them kind of fresh. There used to be a bagel place by our house when we lived in California. I'd go there every once in a while. It was great. All right, let's see what else July 26th has given us. 1579, Francis Drake, the English explorer, discovers a major bay on the coast of California. It becomes known as San Francisco Bay. 1775, the office that would later become the United States Post Office Department is established by the Second Continental Congress. Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania takes office as the Postmaster General. Yes, Benjamin Franklin was our first Postmaster General. 1908, the United States Attorney General Joseph Bonaparte issues an order to immediately staff the Office of the Chief Examiner, later renamed the Bureau of Investigation. 1946, Aloha Airlines begins service from Honolulu International Airport. 1947, the Cold War. U.S. President Harry S. Truman signs the National Security Act of 1947 into law, creating the Central Intelligence Agency, the United States Department of Defense, and the United States Air Force, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the United States National Security Council. Yes, one stroke of the pen, he put all that into play. 1948, U.S. President Harry S. Truman signs Executive Order 9981, desegregating the military of the United States. Throughout military history in the United States, African Americans had always done their part, all the way back to the Revolutionary War. But for the most part, they were usually assigned to supporting roles and never really allowed to go into combat. On top of that, the units were segregated. Now, even though they had very few combat units for African Americans, they were always segregated. So you had a black company, a white company, and another white company usually would form a battalion. Or sometimes the companies would kind of be by themselves. They weren't really part of a larger battalion or anything like that. It was weird. I read this whole thing on it. Now, Executive Order 9981 that was done by Truman was kind of piggybacking off of what Roosevelt had done. He had eliminated segregation in the civil defense industries, meaning a white man and a black man could work on the same tank together to get it up and going. Now, that sounds perfectly fine now. It's like, why wouldn't they? But you got to remember, this is the late 40s, early 50s. It was a different America. Well, after World War II, around 1946, 1947, they did a study where they interviewed around 500 white officers and NCOs, non-commissioned sergeants, basically. The results of the survey concluded that a large majority thought integration was necessary, and they didn't see a problem with it. So in April of 1946, they did a review of policies and started making some changes. While figuring out a strategy to go about this, they figured there would be a fight in the Senate over any bill being passed. So Harry S. Truman just issued an executive order which doesn't have to be voted on. He could just do it. He knew it would be harder for them to overturn it than it would be for them to just stop it from happening. Now, there was different sectors of the United States government and even in the military where they didn't want to go through with this. But as the casualties started piling up in the Korean War, they decided they needed to quit fighting it so black Americans could fight in combat as well. By 1953, it was estimated that about 90% of African American or black soldiers were integrated. 1971, the Apollo program. Launch of Apollo 15, the first Apollo J mission and the first to use a lunar roving vehicle. 1989, a federal grand jury indicts Cornell University student Robert T. Morris Jr. for releasing the Morris worm, thus becoming the first person to be prosecuted under the 1986 Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Like the first virus. 1990, the Americans with Disability Act of 1990 is signed into law by President George H.W. Bush. 2016, Hillary Clinton becomes the first female nominee for president of the United States by a major political party at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. Also in 2016, same day, Solar Impulse 2 becomes the first solar-powered aircraft to circumnavigate the Earth. Premiered on July 26, 2019, The Boys. This is an Amazon Studios release. It's pretty good. It's based on a comic book of the same name. It's an action series that centers around a CIA squad tasked to keeping superheroes in line. In this show, superheroes are helping people, but they're kind of fake. They're really just a bunch of losers, but they have superpowers. This series was originally set up by Cinemax, but Amazon Studios took it over in 2017. It was developed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Pretty good show. I only watched first season. I think there's a second season out. I gotta watch that. Born on July 26, 1964, Sandra Bullock. Wow, I didn't know she was older than me. I thought she was younger than me. She's an actress who won an Academy Award for her leading role in the 2009 film The Blind Side. She has also played starring roles in Speed, Gravity, The Proposal, Miss Congeniality, Crash, and Bird Box. That's another one. I have not seen Bird Box. That was all the rage like a year and a half ago on Netflix. I haven't seen it yet. Growing up, she performed in a children's chorus that her mother produced. She moved to Manhattan after graduating from drama school at East Carolina University in 1986 and worked as a bartender and a cocktail waitress. She is also the voice of Scarlet Overkill in the 2015 movie Minions. She seems like a nice girl, or woman. I've never met her, obviously, but she just seems like she's a good person. Died on July 26, 1992, Mary Wells, known as the Queen of Motown. She recorded hits in the 1960s like My Guy, You Beat Me to the Punch, and Two Lovers. She was first signed to Motown by Berry Gordy when Wells was 17, promoting the song that became her first hit, Bye Bye Baby. The Beatles invited Wells to tour with them in the UK, making her the first Motown artist to tour there. Her second husband was Cecil Womack, the brother of famous soul singer Bobby Womack. Smokey Robinson wrote some of her biggest hits. Mary Wells had been fighting cancer for a few years. In the summer of 1992, Wells' cancer returned and she was rushed to Kenneth Norton Jr. Cancer Hospital in Los Angeles with pneumonia. With the effects of her unsuccessful treatment and weakened immune system, Wells died on July 26, 1992 at 49 years old. After her funeral, which included eulogies given by her old friend and former collaborator, Smokey Robinson, Wells was cremated, and her ashes were given to her family. '79, Francis Drake. 1515, the rain in Spain falls mainly on my brain. 1579, 1579, Sir Francis Drake, the English explorer, discovers a major... 1908, United States Attorney General Charles Joseph Bonaparte. Is that right? Bonaparte? The man's name is Bonaparte. 1948, President 1948, President Harry S. Truman signs Executive Order 9981. Desegregating. 1964, Sandra Bullock. Sandra 1964, Sandra Bullock. Born on July 26, 1964. Okay, let's try again. All right. July 26, 1964, Sandra Bullock. All right, that's today's video. All right. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.